friend. The most anticipated moment of 2025 has already passed, but today we'll relive the moment Sung put that damn insect in its place. So get the kids out of the room, because the ending of this episode will leave even the devil sweating in the cold. My dude, our cameraman, had no idea what was going on. And of course, the hunters were even more clueless. Igris came in swinging a great sword at those filthy ants, while Iron Maeve swept through as Tusky turned insects into mincemeat. And then, the true boss of this dungeon finally arrived. The crew was completely confused, and Four Eyes shouted, "What the hell, Sung?" He hadn't even realized yet that this was the general of that terrifying army. Back in the city, Adri and Mr. Song found it strange that the broadcast had been cut off out of nowhere, while the president and the inspector grew worried, wondering what had happened to the hunters. At the broadcast station, they were losing all their viewers since they had to cut the feed to avoid showing the hunters being wiped out. The boss tried contacting the cameraman, but he had lost signal. Sung sent Iron to provoke the ants, and they all locked onto him. Then he and Igris took the chance to clean up those Indi Ahrad. Iron used a shield to protect the hunters, who were completely lost and didn't understand a thing. Beck immediately started firing off a million questions. But Jinho said he'd explain later and ordered everyone to drink the healing potions. Donut couldn't believe that some shady little potion would cure him. But the protagonist told him to drink it and shut up. His wounds then vanished as if he'd been healed by a healer. But Chot was in such critical condition that even the potions didn't work. Jin ordered them to escape with her while he cleared the path. But then another million ants showed up and things only got worse. At the association, the president demanded to know what was happening, but no one had answers. The black ant had cut off all communications on the island, even with the Japanese. So the president called in the entire medical rescue team. He was furious at being too old and weak to fight anymore and started praying for their safety. Dina was slapping the TV, thinking it was broken, but her mom told her it wouldn't help. The genius tried watching on her phone to see if the stream was up. Meanwhile, on the Japanese ship, the captain announced they'd lost contact with Goto, all because an insanely powerful enemy had appeared, and poor Goto had joined Baru's collection of heads. Of course, the boss wasn't happy and called Goto useless. He flew into a rage when he learned they'd lost their top 10 ranked hunters, but when he heard the monster that killed Goto was returning to the nest, he smirked again. There's no way the Koreans are surviving this. We'll remain the strongest. Then he ordered them to rescue any surviving hunters. My dream is to see that damn mustache bastard lose his head inside the anthill. The elite generals were having a field day, but the common soldiers were getting wrecked. Sung wanted to expand his shadow army by extracting the ants' shadows, but too many eyes were watching. Too late to hide anything now, huh? So he warned the hunters he'd get more aggressive to clear the way, and told them to stay behind Tuskay, keeping what they were about to see a secret. But when he tried extracting the shadows, all the ants backed off, bowing their heads and making way for the king, because Beru had returned after humiliating that bastard Goto. Even the shadow soldiers froze under that monster's aura, and the madman roared in fury, shouting that the king wasn't out there either. So the real king is here? Sung realized this was why he could no longer sense the shadow he'd placed on Goto. The hunters panicked as he stepped forward. The man's jaws hit the floor. Which moment was more terrifying, Sung's or Baru's? The long-awaited showdown had finally arrived. The black ant asked if he was the king of humans, and Sung laughed in his face, calling him just a talking insect. The beast said he had a powerful aura and struck a blow that nearly killed the hunters, sending them flying. But Sung didn't even budge and called the guy a stinky bug. Choi said not even the protagonist could match that monster. After much insistence, the camera feed finally returned. The boss ordered the broadcast back on air, but his assistant asked if he was insane. Going live now meant no delay, so they couldn't cut away if disaster struck. The boss didn't care, saying losing viewers was worse. They said humanity's fate rested on that kid's shoulders. Jui, Mr. Song, and everyone who'd worked with Jinho were stunned. His sister was even more confused 3 minutes ago. He'd said he was just running to the store. Now the kid had vanished into the depths of hell. In the blink of an eye, the president even fell out of his chair in shock. Jinho had done it. Jinchu was baffled, wondering how he'd gotten to the island, but that didn't matter now. Everything depended on him. Beru threw a devastating right hook at the kid, and Choi muttered, "How'd the mage get so close to the ant?" Beru called him weak, saying he couldn't be king, but was shocked when Sung didn't flinch. Then Sung used Dominator's touch to pin Beru and slam him into the ground. With full force, he unleashed a meteor punch, which the enemy barely dodged. Donuk asked Bayek if Jin was really a mage, but none of them understood what was happening. Man, the insect came back with a hammer of thunder. but Jinho blocked it and countered. The battle was so terrifying that even the S-rank cameraman could barely stand. These two were throwing down like it was a 5-minute brawl. Between friends until Jin landed. A devastating right hook to Baru's gut, sending him flying miles away. The beast gasped. "Who the hell is this human?" and charged again, but Jin ducked and smashed an uppercut right into his face. This time, blood gushed from his nose like a broken faucet. But Baru wasn't done. A single scratch began spreading a lethal venom through Jin's body. With those toxins, you won't even be able to move. "So this is the end for you, damn human." But at the last second, Sung grabbed Baru's wrist and countered with a punch, so strong it split his armored shell, hurling him into the wall. Four Eyes was stunned. Jin shouldn't have been able to move from the venom. But at this level, the tiger wasn't surprised by anything anymore. Jin muttered, "So this is the insect's trump card?" In seconds, his body detoxified. "I'll have to end this fast, or Chot won't survive." He launched a kick to crush the enemy, but this time Baru dodged. Since nothing worked, the ant unleashed his ultimate weapon. His exoskeleton evolved, making him 5,000 times deadlier. Jin summoned his monarch's demon daggers, crackling with energy, but his strikes were easily blocked. The two clashed again in a brutal exchange, even trading blows mid-air. Neither yielded. One blink, and you'd lose your head. Baru summoned ice spears, probably looted from dead Japanese hunters. But Sung's speed wasn't just matching his, it was surpassing it. Their next collision moved so fast the camera couldn't follow, even in slow motion. The hunters couldn't keep up. This was a battle beyond their wildest dreams. Jin broke Baru's guard with a flurry of gut punches, then slashed wildly with his daggers. But Baru wasn't done. He buried Jin in the ground and raised his claws for a killing strike. At the last second, Jin's fatal strike evolved into its final form, mutilation. The kid diced the damn ant into pieces at a speed Baru couldn't follow. The ant tried healing and threw up an ice barrier to flee, but Jin chased him down, eyes burning. For the first time, the mighty black ant felt something new. Fear. Part 3, 1824 characters. Another gut punch, another brutal dismantling. Now limbless, the coward screamed for his entire army to swarm Jin. But Jin wasn't the only one with a powerful army. His shadow generals arrived, slaughtering the ants like trash. Even Camel came to wipe them out. The high orcs wrecked everything, and Tuskay fired a fireball so intense it blew a hole in the nest. The Ant King was baffled. "This makes no sense. I should be the strongest in the world." All he could think of was escape. Seeing the true king before him, he regenerated his wings and arms and tried to flee. But Jin caught him effortlessly, forcing him to his knees. The beast could only think of running with its tail between its legs. But Jin used mutilation one last time. This was the end. Jin leveled up repeatedly from defeating such a powerful foe, and the remaining ants retreated. The hunters couldn't believe they'd actually won. But Jin was already running. Chot was fading fast. They told him a helicopter was coming to take her to the hospital. But Jin said she wouldn't last that long. He tried using the same elixir of life that cured his mother's incurable illness, their last hope. But even that couldn't save her. Frustrated, Jin suddenly remembered something. And of course, the episode ends at the most critical moment. Go ahead and subscribe. Because I don't know about you, but I was left breathless after that insane fight. Who would have thought that the black ant who slaughtered S-rank hunters would get humiliated in languages as by our boy Sung? Now, will he be able to save our beloved Chot?